fire. Hello, Shinners. Welcome back to the Shindig podcast, where we get under the skin of the UK trials community. I'm Tom Hutley.
And I am Matt Pengelly.
And today they're always trials legends. Everyone is a trials legend that comes on this show.
It's a trend, isn't it?
And it is Mr. Jack Meek.
Mr. Jack Meek, the Mr.
Hi,
Meek.
guys.
Oh, mate, this is actually lovely. We haven't seen you for a very long time.
Put a smile on my face, and I love it. I love what I've been listening to. It's been brilliant.
Well, that's what I was going to ask. So you have been listening. You've been keeping up.
Does that mean you're still a
Charlie.
trials rider?
Yes,
I'll go straight in there. Yeah.
I am. Yeah, I mean, like I ride all bikes, but yeah, the trials bike still gets ridden, just not as often as it did.
So not everyone. And not everyone knows who Jack Meek is, believe it or not. Jack might be surprised. A little bit of context for our listeners. Can you try and give some background to yourself and how you may have been known in the trials world a little bit? It's all about Get the DVD. Maybe that's a very popular thing people know you from.
Oh, with Nick Goddard. So yeah, me and Nick. So when I first started riding, I bumped into Nick Goddard, who I call G, and we got into our riding, and then like got a bit obsessed with like the technique of stuff we're doing, and film it, and I'd film him, he'd film me, and we'd go to comps together, and then we'd travel to street spots together, and it kind of evolved into meeting an enormous amount of people over time, and doing events, demos, TV shows, and having a bloody good laugh.
And that's the most important thing with trials. You always forget that. The most important factor, I have to say.
Yeah.
And you also, I want to say a mastermind, but the idea behind...
Well, we was going through a lot of your accolades last night. I didn't even realise just so much stuff that you've done, really. And no, but
yeah, I've been around the block.
This is quite important, I suppose, because a lot of our trials community have been together for 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, whatever. So it's kind of obvious those. But for new people that are coming through, I think it's just quite important to, tell the world exactly what you've done. So, like, first of all, I mean, the first thing that came to my mind from myself personally was in 2010, March 2010. In London.
We had a little ride in London.
We had a little ride in London.
Huge
and
ride.
Jack organised this. It's easily the biggest trials ride I reckon that's ever happened, right? That's easily, right?
Yeah, it just started off as a ride in London, and
it kind of
escalated, and chatting to Kenny Belay, and it worked perfectly because he was doing like a video for himself, kind of touring around and doing lots about bike trials in his life, and he joined in, and it kind of captured a bit of the London ride, and all the friends were there, the locals, and Vince then got wind of it from France, and he had a good timing with it, and he came over, and so there was a real mix. And Ashton was there, I think, with family, so they went off to the museum or something while he came and had a ride on his Cannondale, which was nice.
I remember that. I remember my friend actually met Martin Ashton on the train, right, and he's riding trials. They come in together, and my friend goes, I just met this really cool guy on the train. Like he's a little bit older. He's got a trials bike, and he's just going to come along for the ride a little bit. I was like, oh, he sounds cool. And he goes, yeah, it's that guy over there. I was like, mate, that's Martin Ashton.
You've done an extremely good job of getting people together to do what we do best and ride just all in the same place. I know you met him on a big sort of ride. I think our story of how we met Jack, correct me if I'm wrong, it was just general, trials forum chit chat. Maybe being like, you're all the way in Cornwall, do you want to come to this festival thing we're going to do in Essex called Radfest or something? I remember us travelling, like, never thought I'd drive 5-6 hours just to go to somewhere like that. But that was our first initial kind of meeting. I think you really delved deep and dug to all the riders and reached out to everybody saying, hey, this is going to be sick, you need to be there. And I felt that you on a personal level drove many people towards that. So what year was that? Was it 2000? We spoke on the phone before this. Was it 2009, the first Radfest?
I don't know.
I think it
don't
is.
know. I mean,
Well, it was 10 years in 2019.
I can see. Is it 2014 was a pretty good one? I remember it was really sunny and really nice.
Yeah.
And, there was a lot of people were pushing themselves. So it's quite exciting to watch other riders, kind of go all balls in.
Yeah, well, correct me if
I mean, that was the year. Wasn't
Mick and Maria would know this. I just don't know off the top of my head.
We will do. We've got one with Mick and Maria quite soon, so perhaps they can correct some of these things. But I know that you worked very closely with the Mitchells to kind of bring Radfest to the forefront.
I mean, if you think we're legends in trials riding, those people are just legends as people.
As people, yes,
they're just the kindest, most amazing, hardworking, amazing people.
We're only legends because we've got a bike between our legs, whereas they just generally breathe legendary vibes, don't they?
Yeah, I remember Tom and Matt, their children, when they were still kids, right? Like Tom was tiny, and I turned up and it was a fairly empty field, and they were holding a local Essex bike trial competition at the time. I don't know if it was like 12 or 13 years ago.
I was there.
I was saying Tom was actually there.
You were there, Tom?
Tom was there.
Essex bike trial. It was in the opposite field, and there was like Land Rovers and stuff to jump over and stuff.
Yeah, really muddy. Use the ditch. It was real classic.
Yeah, there was stuff in the woods as well. That was it. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you just saw it, like, Tom and Matt love riding bikes, and it was a no-brainer. They got the space and the enthusiasm, and it slowly evolved into what it's become, a really amazing venue. And got to give it to them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mitchells.
I think 10, 11 years they've been doing it, and it's now finally into that stage where there's actually nothing there right now. Completely ripped it out. So
ripped out and start fresh.
Already looking forward to getting back there. We will have an episode dedicated to that too. Very much looking forward to getting into that spot.
What I want to just add actually before we move on is that you kind of bounced around it a little bit, and Jack didn't want to acknowledge it, but effectively Jack created Radfest.
Yes.
Is that correct?
I was one of the brains.
One of the brains behind it.
One of the brains.
So I know there's a lot of people.
There's a few people.
But it's safe to say that without yourself, we would not have Radfest now.
I don't know.
You could be a contributor.
The only people will be Mick and Maria. Perhaps Tom might correct us, but I do know that you had a major part in the starting of it. Perhaps I remember even you.
Maybe.
I think because I think the second year you even made. I DJ'd one of the years. I just came out and brought my decks, didn't I, and just played some tunes.
Yeah.
That was.
I mean, it was a big commitment to a lot of people, because if you're going to hold an event and then it becomes annual and it's their venue, it's a big responsibility.
Yeah, I know there's a huge.
Everyone to have fun, everyone to have safety, and It worked out well.
I will try and dig out the wristband, but I have a drawer with like 5 or 6 Radfest wristbands, even the very first one, and I knew one day they would come up and they could be worth something. Maybe I'm going to get you to sign the first one, Jack.
Send me a photo of the wristbands, because I remember the orange one. I definitely remember that one.
They were mainly orange. I'm almost certain that the first 3 or 4 were just orange.
I missed a couple of Radfests, by the way.
Yeah, I've only missed 2 myself, but.
Yeah,
that was moving on to that next bit. Obviously, we can see behind you, Jack. For those who are listening, one of the questions that a lot of riders and other people that have actually asked me to ask you are: will you ever get a trials bike again? Now, I know that I almost quite asked on the phone. The answer is there for the people who cannot see. Jack has a trials bike behind him, and he still has it. I knew you wouldn't get rid of it, Jack. Okay.
This thing.
More
this
importantly,
thing is killer.
As we know, he has a trials bike, right? We might need to get him on it. When was the last time you rode, Jack?
A couple of months ago, I think.
So secretly,
just on my own.
I'll just give some context to the listeners. This is how I see Jack's life
on my trials bike.
He disappeared from the trials world. He's a landscaper, for those who didn't know. So he deals with a lot of trimming hedges and bushes.
More plants, yeah.
More plants, I say. I envision Jack leaving the trials community, finding this house in the middle of nowhere in the woods, and then letting this big bush just grow over his house, and he trims it really carefully, like an igloo dome, but made out of plants. And that's where him and his family live now, and he stays away, and he just watches all the trials videos and keeps tabs on us, but we have no effing clue where he is or what he's doing.
I live in a Teletubby mound.
That's what was coming to mind.
That's just what I'm sort of picturing, and he's outside like, oh no, we need to keep trimming it.
Fall asleep in fields and lay on horses and talk to the birds. No, nothing at all. I'm town centre in Henley-on-Thames, and I've got a really big riding community with like just local brewery and good. I've actually never believe it, my next door neighbour is one of my oldest friends, and he's one of the first people I rode trials with, and we go to the Alps once a year to ride. And we did Mega. That was so much fun. But that's not, But the trial skills comes in handy.
Of course. That. I've certainly noticed, I don't know if anyone hasn't seen, but if you are following Jack Meek, that is pretty much what you'll see. His riding right now is very much the trials on an enduro bike, I want to say.
Yeah, just every now and again when we're riding around, we just grab the camera and do something fun on the other bike. But I don't know what it was. I just put down the camera. And just carry, because I just like riding, put the music in and just sort of build up session. But because I'm not able to just jump in the car or van or whatever and come and meet you guys and ride street, I'm just not getting that exposure to get pumped up and jump off big things and do what I used to do. And, I remember talking with Alistair Clarkson. He's like, oh, come on, what, you're going to do a bit of this and a bit of that. And I'm like, and that was just, I remember that kind of being the moment when we were in Bristol, and I was just like kind of pulling back, I just wanted to watch.
Okay.
My body as well. My body was taking a beating from work as well. So like you'd come out of work completely knackered and then ride, and it's completely useless. It's not worth putting yourself in a position where you're going to get injured. So this is what it was.
It is body.
It was.
Would you have to put a disclaimer on this podcast and that some of the guests we've had on before, i.e. Joe Marr and Jason Lake. Jason Lake's riding anyway, but Joe Marr said to us, I'm not riding. I'm
giving up.
He's retired. Yeah, not riding at all.
Retired.
Following this podcast interview with us, he got back out on his bike.
Yeah.
He sent Matt some clips.
Yeah, he sent me a quick clip and was like, even the comment was, despite all of his kind of negative approach to it, saying I'm retired, I've still got a trials bike, but secretly I don't ride or whatever. But deep down, that just goes to show, he's like, well, you didn't sell it because you're going to ride it again, mate. And I think that's answering your question too, Jack. You won't get rid of that bike. There's deep down, there's this tiny piece of you that's like, I'm ready. I'm ready to go back.
This isn't a podcast, Jack. It's an intervention to get you back on that bike.
Yeah, that's what we
need. You need to come to the street rides, yeah. No, because I am on the bike. I won't lie. I am on the bike. I've got like a little thing around the corner of the house, which I ride and practice on, and I've got some local spots.
You've dropped yourself in it now, Jack, because now if you come out, we'll be like, you've got no excuse to not have it. You should have been like, I've forgotten how to ride. That's what you're meant to say.
No.
Or something's broken.
I don't know how to do.
Yeah.
And I just don't know how to move the body around as much. That's all.
Flexibility, our old age kicking in there. And for the other listeners as well, because I didn't know, he's a married man. He's a father. You have 2 children now, don't you, Jack? 2 of them.
Two of them, yeah.
And how old are they?
A girl and a little boy, 6 and 3.
6 and 3. So almost on the bikes. Almost.
No, they are on the bikes.
They are.
Yeah, one actually. My first one, surprisingly enough, just picked it up a couple of days before her 3rd birthday. But she's got a little mate, Rafi, and they're both of them together on the bicycles. They're like little whiz kids. They're amazing. But my little boy, he's too obsessed with his balance bike. He's just like, no, I don't care. You roll it. You take 2 bikes to somewhere with like a bank. He can roll down it, put his feet on the pedals, and have. He just doesn't want to pedal. He's not ready. He doesn't.
Right. He's already into that because I think he's saying like, but you're meant to get rid of the seat, not the pedals.
Yeah. Daddy, why's your bike got no seat?
It's just like, you'll get there.
Yeah. No, they love it. They love cycling. They love it.
Oh, that's good to hear. I know some of those got some sort of dad listeners out there, the youngsters trying to get on the bikes, it's one of them things that they just picked it up themselves then. You weren't like, hey, you must breathe bicycles. And
that's it. Yes, you're just loading the shotgun cartridges. Come on.
You will do that again.
Put your feet on the pedals.
No,
I'm not like that at all. No, they 1 second it's scooter, 1 second, I don't know, they're playing with some toys, and next second it's, I want to go on my bike. It's 0 degrees outside and it's raining. I don't care. I do. No, they're lovely. And I think, the bike riding will be in their lives. They'll be comfortable with it. Who knows if they'll get into some other bits and bobs, skate parks and pump tracks, but it's, it's probably going to happen because we've got some good stuff near here.
Oh, nice. And sorry, I'll remind where you are in the world at the moment.
Henley-on-Thames.
Henley-on-Thames, that's what you did say.
Rob Warnerland.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, him.
It's funny how we know so many trials names of people.
We went to the same school.
Really?
And I went in the back of his van when I was younger as a teenager to show him trails because he didn't know where they were.
I wondered where that was going. the back of a van.
We'd like that. Show trails. Well, it's not. I'm sure plenty of people have been in the back of the van with Rob.
Yeah. We've gone through this. Seems to be also a trend of trials riders grooming younger riders, isn't it?
Yeah, that was.
But Jason Lake grooming you, and Andre Burton grooming me.
Spreading the trials religion.
Yeah, that's the only way to spread, to procreate.
You can start a conspiracy about Radfest now.
It's an intervention, Jack. It's not a podcast.
Yeah, exactly. The next event, I hope that we can. We've been a bit unfortunate to have you at the events, but I know.
I was in another country, which was another place where it's a trials mecca. I was seeing family in Barcelona.
Oh yeah,
so I was riding while Radfest was on, but I just I was watching what was going on the internet, but I couldn't. I wish I was there for all of them.
Yeah, I mean it's one of those.
I missed the tight bike ones as well. They were so fun. They looked so good.
No, they were also really good. I mean the concept. They were clearly like the format of Radical Bikes is where it works. The best. So it made sense for them to be like, we'll just use that venue. Why not? Of course, it's the best place to ride trials in the UK. So
I like the water element. It was hot and they were spraying water.
Yeah.
You're crossing a little paddling pool or something. It's like
the Illuminator. We had a comment on one of our YouTube videos. Someone said about their worst shindig they got was at, it was, I'm sure it won't mind me saying his name because it's on YouTube, it's public. It's Jack Gray. And he said the worst shindig I got was from the trampoline on the Eliminator.
Yeah. I remember that. I remember that thing now. That was a lethal
For those who don't know what we're talking about, basically Tarty Days was one of the Tarty Bikes, of course, was one of the organisers who held an event at Radical Bikes in the summer, and they had this thing called an Eliminator. And to give you the best image of it, it's like if you ever watched Gladiators as a kid or Ninja Warrior, one of those sort of things. It's an obstacle course on a trials bike, starts easy and it gets progressively harder. So everyone can take place on this obstacle course, and there's a trampoline element to it. There was a balance beam going over a paddling pool where people are squirting you in the face with water cannons.
I'm just trying to remember how far even I got, but I do remember getting wet because people just had water guns and they could just spray you like it was. It definitely added to.
Don't rub it in, guys. I didn't get to go.
Perhaps you should come to the next one, Jack. And if all goes well, I know there's things in the works about a Barcelona trip next summer. There's going to be a big ride that will be there's
going to be a reunion ride. Right? You could help. If
I'm
using your accolades of organising big things.
It's actually that group.
I would like to. Well, which group?
I was going to say that group, the kind of reunion. There was Adrian, I was speaking to Rossi G yesterday.
Ross Gardner.
Oh, he's coming riding with us this weekend.
Did he tell you about the last Barcelona trip?
No, but now he is going to come on our show for one of them. So I will make sure that we dig that one out. It's the last Barcelona trip.
Do you know Phillip Pierce?
Yeah.
Okay, so Phillip Pierce, me, and Dan. We all drove down in vans. There was quite a lot of us, and we stayed at my mother-in-law's house, just in the suburbs of Barca. And one morning, woke up to Phillip Pierce, who's now, a well reputable top like cross country rider, cyclocross rider. You know, he's very, very good rider. He ran across. It woke us all up in like a leotard, like a leopard leotard, like or
right,
jumping on all of us. The best thing is that he's never. Whenever he does something crazy, he's never drunk. He doesn't drink. So it's just confirmed. He's just mad, you know. Like
high on life. One of those.
High on life.
High on life.
He's already got the wiring there. No other.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and so I guess he's just like redirected it into cross country and cyclocross, all this energy, and now he's like completely killing it, you know.
Yeah. No, well, I mean, he doesn't ride trials anymore, but I'll be sure to get the Barca trip from Rossi G. But anyway, I forgot where I was going with this now. Right, the oldie riders. So yeah, that whole reunion lot were like, yeah, no, we need to hear if Jack Meek, is he still alive? Does he still have a bike? What does he do? Where is he? So I know that some of the people knew that. They just wanted you to come out into the real world.
Yeah, and we're talking about all the Reading riders, aren't we?
Yes.
Are you guys okay?
Yeah, we just had a video like stop on us then. So we
got this video we might better use. We got options.
And this is where I start teasing you like this.
You said it before. She won't know. Going, is it meant to be sound there? Or we just confuse our listeners by all doing this.
We just put a few glitch sound effects in that.
Oh, you're out of sync. I just saw myself do that. That looked dreadful.
Back on.
Right. So Radfest past the past. What I've been doing. Right. What's next? What you got for me?
Let's do the quick fire round. I
was going to get. Well, I want to get so quick. Do the quick fire after the context of the image. Now, I won't get it up on the screen. You sort of will put it on the Instagram post when it's there. But there's a photo I dug out from a while ago. It's Jack Meek and Andre Burton stood next to each other, holding a massive poster of Jack Meek himself. And I mean, his head, it's just a picture of like a headshot, and it's about 6 foot, 7 foot. I'm not going to lie. The picture might say, I just want some context from that, or from some of the listeners, like, what the F?
Okay, so I got a call from Joe Poyser to do, or even Chris Poyser as well, I think. I can't remember which brother it was, from Onza.
Joe Poyser from Onza, yeah.
Yeah, and I went up and did like a random shoot to kind of fill in for like cycling context. Like, you know, there was a few different types of cycling leading up towards something they didn't tell me about. I had no idea what it was for. I just went, yeah, cool. I'll see you there. Yeah. Did it, left. And then I just get this, like, you know, I start getting a text coming in going, Jack, why are you on like the London Underground, like everywhere? And I was like, what do you mean? And it's like another one. It's just like, I'm just outside Earl's Court. You're over the whole of the front of Earl's Court. I'm like, I don't know what's going on. And like, I'm at work, and then it's just like, hey, Jack, I was just doing some like demos, and I've got something in the back of my car. And this was Andre, right? Yeah. So this is, I was with Evan Cycles a long time ago, and Andre pulls in and just like goes, look, come and check this out. And he just pulls out this massive poster, and I was like, I don't know what to say. It's just like seeing your face that big in front of you in a car park and people looking, and just like, yep, thanks. Do you want it? I'm like, I'm all right. I haven't really got anywhere to go. But I was like, the thing about the photo that got me was how much suntan I had, like, photoshopped onto my face. Yeah. I looked like I'd come from the Mediterranean or something.
It was
very
definitely
strange.
Edited. So I thought you didn't keep that. I thought so you didn't keep that poster yourself.
No,
I'm sure I saw it. Did it go to Radfest?
Andre's got it in his bedroom, as far as I know.
Do you know, it's actually on his ceiling. He goes to sleep like, looking at it. That's how
sleep at night. Yeah,
it was the only. It was the only compromise Chloe had to deal with. Andre's
Sorry,
like, Chloe,
Andre.
you do know I have a giant picture of Jack Meek on my ceiling.
Yeah,
it has to stay. It's either you or Jack, you know.
Oh, we've always had a fond, you know.
Wow. Yeah. Okay, so whilst Matt's loading up the next train of thought, yeah, we've got a few questions and things. We just want to do the quick fire round. We do this with most guests that we have on the podcast, and it's just 3 simple questions related to riding and kind of what inspires you, really, Jack. So, first one, and this is going to be your favourite spot or favourite place to ride. Where would you go if you could go anywhere?
Anywhere, and just relax is Sabadell or Sabadell, whichever. The guys are now going to be listening to this from Spain and crucifying me on my pronunciation.
I didn't want to say it when you said Barcelona earlier.
It's fine. That means that means we're going to reach their audience, though. So it's
kind of like it's not Barcelona itself, because it's like there is so many amazing places, and that would just be a place just to relax. It's just so fun to just be there, roll back down into town, get an ice cream, ride back up. There's no one interfering, and everyone's like really kind of interested, or either they're doing their kind of local activity or whatever. Or go to Gava, which is like a really kind of orange rock sort of terrain, but it's got a shitload of history with it. It's like where Ott P trained when he was, first riding, and that goes back to his dad. And all the kind of motocross, and where a lot of bike trials started from. So, once I went there, I kind of saw what it was all about. Tony Bowie goes there, pretty household name in Spain. But my favorite place. My favorite place.
On a trials bike, of course.
Yeah, you just go there and go, right, I'm going to just live out my days riding trials. You've only got one.
Live out my days and ride trials.
Oh, wow.
Desert Island Discs, but for trials.
Yeah. We should definitely make our own of them. Yeah, just give me an idea. Anyway.
I'd have to create it. It'd have to come out of it.
Love that.
I'd have to make it. I'd have to create it, Like, there's too many good places.
You heard it here. Jack Meek is going to make his own trials park next year. 2021.
In his garden, yeah.
I've got to go, guys. Busy now.
You dropped him in it.
Yeah, thanks. No, I love making stuff. Yeah. I've made a lot of courses as well. I mean, like, I managed to, with the help of a few other guys, we went to NAS one year, and there was a bit of a plan to have a course and stuff. And we had, there was some riders that were coming over. Ashton was one, he was another, Cesar Cañas was there, Chris Donny, Simon Sagar, who was one of the old Mad riders. And there was a load of other people. I'm pretty sure you were there, Matt, weren't you?
I think so. What year was this?
Yeah,
this was
Matt and James.
Yeah,
you were both there. James Davies.
This is all the skips and that. We went mad on skips. That's
yeah,
what I
and
remember.
it was a small kind of squashed space. You jumped down onto. We had a crush car and another crush car, and we had some concrete.
So I don't think I could ride.
Beams.
I remember sort of being there. But I don't remember being that good. But yeah, go on.
But I just remember running around the venue because we didn't have enough to kind of really have a good demonstration area to show what the sport was about, or kind of provide for the riders that were coming with that sort of caliber. And I was like, oh, guy on the telehandler, please. It's like, I'm already booked in to go and take this marquee over this part of the event. And I'm like, you did, please.
Yeah,
and so then there's like, here comes an absolutely massive concrete pipe. And I'm like, dude, cheers, thank you.
Yeah.
I've like got a Snickers for you, like carry on, And so then it was just like, you had those big features, built everything else around it. And it worked out well. And then we managed to have an interactive site as well. So we got just kind of like amateur, or advanced riders to kind of come in and just have a go. And then it was like, well, let's have a bit of an eradicator sort of thing. And I think, I can't really remember. I mean, Johnny Jones has a video which covers that. So if you want to look that up, you might be able to, pass on a link or something in your social media. It's Johnny Jones got it. And there's a lot on the
Johnny Jones has a lot of good trials videos, actually.
But that was just, it was just from scraps. And it's like, imagine if you had a budget and you had like carpenters and, engineers, and what sort of really cool stuff you could really make, And I know, you look at the UCI events and I look at them, I think, oh, would I have done it like that and done it like that? And I got to go to Antwerp, actually, because Kenny got me to commentate. And I remember commentating for
was
Jack
this a
Carthy.
UCI? With all the UCIs. Oh, interesting.
Matt is because this is Matt's like dream job in the pipeline here.
I'm getting towards that. I've been told by many trials riders that I should commentate the UCI Worlds. So that's what I'm going to do one day.
You have got the face for commentary.
I have got the face for it.
Direct message Kenny, or even speak to Andre. They did,
They'll be coming to ask me. I won't be.
Yeah,
asking
is that
them.
right?
Yeah, that's how it's going to work. we're on a point where actually I think we're going to start, even if we don't, just going to do our own commentary. The Shindig podcast commentates the UCI. So after it's over, so everyone can stop listening to the other ones, like Reach for the Sky. And all. We'll do.
I was going to say, was this a quick fire round?
We've gone off a little bit. Yeah, this is the quickest fire round ever.
The quickest fire round
I just suddenly realised, what were we talking about originally?
It's just super organic. We never stay on topic, and that's what keeps it.
Fair enough.
This is what trials riders are.
But that's coming. We'd like to do that. We're going to do it's like those YouTube reaction videos. We're going to do like Matt and Tom react to the UCI World Cup commentary.
Essentially, yeah. And then the people that run the UCI, that'll give them an opportunity to be like, that's what those idiots sound like with that on the screen.
It's having all the international riders like names down to a T when you say it out loud, because if you say it wrong, it just there.
Well, how do you get it though? Because if you get it from their commentary, if they're wrong, you're just copying someone else's bad work.
What's happened from my experience? So when I've commentated the Urban Trials Battle in London, that's where most of the time I wouldn't always get their names right, so I just came up with nicknames that the audience found funny, so I mean, Andre, I knew his name, but I still called him a unicorn. I was like, this guy thinks he's a unicorn, and people found it funny. So for the comedy side of it, but I think maybe in the UCI they might actually want to know their real names. So perhaps we'll work on that and get to those pronunciations.
You take a bit of Rob Warner and mix it in with your own style, and then you got, because I mean, Rob's got a lovely way of bringing it across to the audience, hasn't he?
Yeah. But that's another story. We'll wait and see if we get to that stage. I mean, it's one of those commentators. It's more of a I can't ride my bike anymore kind of style. That's all I can.
You couldn't ride it to begin with, so.
Well, I was thinking about Andre, but he can ride it. That's what he's got to be like, I've got to keep my nose in the commentary area, because once my back snaps, that's all I can do. What was the other? So you missed.
So we got to spots.
Spots.
Favorite move.
Yeah. Oh, favorite move.
I'm hoping he answers what everyone wants to answer.
I think we know what. Well, we don't know.
What do you think I'm going to say?
It's definitely not his favorite, but
yeah. I suppose
it was like wasn't it named after you after a time or something?
Oh no, you're not. Oh, you're talking about an evolution of the Rich flip, which then got coined the Meek flip, because I thought it'd be funny to lob myself over my bars in Bristol one day.
I couldn't find the picture, because I know that they exist out there. If anyone's listening and knows where that image is, people who have no clue what we're talking about. There is a move that over time, I'm sure it wasn't called the Meek flip to begin with, but you cycle along and you front flip off your bike, with your bike basically staying where it is.
Effectively, progress into a bit of a handstand. It's like a handstand into the bars and straight over. But
a bit of history. There was Rich Johnson.
Go on.
And he kind of he did it more often in front of camera, and he kind of got the Rich flip thing going, and but before that, it comes from BMX. Just people, or even just people playing on bikes. Someone's obviously done it back in like the 60s or 50s. Probably a lot of people have done it. Like riding their bikes into cars. In traffic.
People have done it just totally by accident.
I'm sure somebody owns it.
I think it was at that time you had a reputation, didn't you? So I think that's what it was. They were like, "Oh, everyone knows who that idiot is. We'll call it a Meek flip."
It was just, I don't know, it just felt right. It was like, John, John Shrewsbury. I was like, John, would you just stay there? And what I'm going to do, I'll do this. And it's like, what? And I was like, I'm going to go over the front handlebars, because I feel like I can do it
too, like so sincere. Like, I'm just going to just quickly hop off this. And then like Shrewsbury, like, this guy is so, oh man, what's he doing?
But I didn't turn it into like an everyday thing, because it's just a real finale trick. It kind of doesn't go anywhere afterwards,
Are It's that awkward thing of the bike.
You just walk off and leave
the bike. Just goes in some direction. It trails off somewhere because you just let go of the bike.
It's one of those like that knee. It's a bit like a knee slide trick. You know, on stage, especially when Danny Mac does that one over the stage under his bike.
Yeah,
it's that kind of. I'd say it was on par with that because it's like kind of cheesy.
The rock and roll one. Yeah, that was so good. Absolutely unreal. That video. Oh, man. Yeah, so Danny has come up with so many good videos.
Well, since I don't know, since we're recording this yesterday, there was a new video that came out, which was certainly a contender.
Tomo.
I've just gone blank. Yeah.
Tomomi.
Is it Tomo?
The Japanese guy.
Yeah.
I've been chatting with him. He is incredible, man. And I've seen a few links going on that he's going places.
Yeah, this video's definitely big. A lot of people are sharing it. It's kind of
one thing to go across a slack line on a bike anyway, but he's like manualing across it and stuff.
Well, it's what I was saying to you. We were watching it. I'm like, he's going along the slack line. I'm like, oh my god, yeah, he's going to sign up. He's going to sign up to the pallets. Yeah.
He's got a mate as well that he rides with. Have you seen his mate? He's got another partner in crime. There's two of them.
Right, you heard it here, guys. We need to dig out this other rider.
They film each other, go on Instagram, go and stalk him, and then look at who films him and look at what he gets up to. He's on a 20-inch. He's incredible.
What, Cintaru, is it?
Cintaru, that's it, yeah. Cintaru. I mean, get them on here.
I mean, this is it. We've
gone global instantly.
We are starting to go global. We've kept it UK based. We've been asking a lot of people, like, who should we have on? We're still waiting from some people to accept and say, yes, they are going to do it. But we've got some big names coming up. There will be some other.
This is a call out.
Go on.
Ashton.
Come on. Yeah, you've said it now. Luckily, I have met Ashton personally, and we have drank whiskey together and got drunk. I feel that will play in my favour. And I've got quite a cool story with him about, he was a guy that got me into trials. 6 years later, I did a show with him. So we've got our fingers crossed. If anyone else knows Ashton.
You got groomed by Ashton?
No, that I was still groomed by Andre Burton at that point, but I was riding with Andre in the same show as Martin. Yeah, that was, So you've said it now, Jack, and I know he knows you.
Man, that guy. I mean, I've had some really nice. I remember driving to Porthcawl when I was like first getting into riding, and I thought, there's no way we're going to bump into him, right? And I've got my oldest like trials riding mates. You know, they don't ride anymore, but we're just on the front, you know, where all the rocks are. Yeah. I think it's called the pipeline. I think it was called. Yeah, I think it's called Pipeline. And that was the day that we met Sparky, John Shrewsbury, the late Gavin Bedford, sadly, and a few others. And then Ashton kind of he turned up in the afternoon, and it was just like that moment where you just see like this perfect spec Cannondale, and then it's like, is this the guy that rides Newbury? And he's the guy from Chain Spotting. And this is so cool. Just play it cool. Yeah.
We get that in trials, which is what I love. Because of our community, we were able, like many of us have been able to meet and ride with the number one guys. Same with, I was saying to you, actually, the first time I didn't really know you. I don't think we knew each other. But Portsmouth was the first time I went to a big Portsmouth ride. I met Danny. Saw Danny Mac. It was a ride that you were there, and that was like the first time.
Just before his big YouTube video.
Yes, because it's the first time. Basically, I just remember sort of cycling along. I could see you. I think you were on a Cox then. I can't remember. Were you on a Cox? Anyway, cycling along, and he just bunny hops over a handrail, and that's when I was like, "Who is that?" And then I think it was you going, it's
all over the place, wasn't he?
Danny Mac, he's a really good rider. He's going to go places. Like, he's really going to go somewhere.
I think they went to Bristol, they went to Reading, Portsmouth, and I don't know. I think Dave Cleaver from Inspired was, obviously befriended and, got to know Danny, and they kind of went and filmed all this stuff. And at the same time, Dave Sowerby, who I think was one of Danny's old flatmates, you know how it is. You live together, you do, like, obviously you're doing
we know exactly what it's like.
And it's still happening today. Duncan, Ali and Danny, they all live together, as far as I know. And you kind of go out, you kind of spur off each other, get creative, you film all this stuff. 100%. And then there's this audience out there waiting, and they're just like, what is this? This is so cool. Got to tell a friend. And it's not only is it, it's a share button, it was emails. People were, putting the effort in to go, colleague, check this out, this is cool.
Yeah.
And then the next thing you've got like this incredible exposure.
Yeah, it wasn't a quick share button like you see, everyone you just click this button. It was like actively people being like, oh my God, this is another level. And then just to think that obviously Martin Ashton was kind of, before Danny, would you say was like the pioneer of trials, perhaps? I'd say it was Martin Ashton.
Sorry.
Oh, we might have lost you for a second.
I'll say that again, Matt.
We've got you back. Sort of before the Danny Mac era, I'll say, Ashton was the pioneer.
Oh, was he?
Well, this is what I'm asking. What do you think?
I wanted to clear this up.
For me, I mean, it goes way back. It goes back before OPI. There are so many other riders out there.
Well, could we say that Martin Ashton brought it to the UK? Is that the?
Yeah, through MB UK, I think.
Okay.
And doing lots and lots of events. Bringing it to the public. One of them, I think there was a really cool show down south with Thibaut Mario. And they had very different styles. He's kind of like come from this French technique and way of doing competition. And Martin Ashton and Martin Hawes, and you just hear the crowd, and they'd be building up, go Thibaut, and Thibaut was just so accurate on the back wheel at that point, right? And this was before Ryan Leach and lack of hops and kind of making it look like it's more controlled, whereas actually hopping around doing everything but going large and doing some really cool lines. But Thibaut just had this sort of like, this is it. This is like the master. He's mastered this. And then you see it then. The thing is, we're thinking just UK. I think globally about trials. There's all these other riders, Jeff Lenowski, Ryan Leach, Martin Clivard, it goes on. There's loads of them. I mean, even the ones we don't know about in Russia, in Eastern
I'm still
Europe.
learning. 14, 15 years in the community, and every time I do a podcast with someone here, I'm learning something new.
Yeah. I mean, I think it was Kita. I think someone can correct me on that. But I was a massive fan of Japanese rider called Kita Mayoka or something. And he's just the way he rode, and he started riding brakeless before everyone else and on natural, and just testing limits on what trials bikes can do. You hear all sorts of wacky shit, like the French pouring water on their rocks so that they can train in more technical conditions or something. But that could just be hearsay.
I haven't heard that, but at the same time, I believe that.
I wouldn't put it past somebody.
Yeah, they'll be like, this is... And same for Charlie Rolls, actually. He sometimes said to me, it's like, I like to go out in the rain sometimes and film a wet rock so people can say, I'm riding this wet rock. Certainly out of choice, it wouldn't be something that I would do. It's raining.
Yeah,
we won't be doing that. Get out on the mountain bike. Well, that's why. How often are you actually riding, Jack? Just biking, any kind of discipline. How often are you actually getting out on your bike?
About once to twice a week. I've entered a couple of races, like cross country race with pedal hounds. No, not pedal hounds, Agoric, I think. It's a Agoric sort of setup. And then I did the Mega Avalanche, which was quite good. Managed to get it under an hour, which was quite cool. Yeah. What else have I done some long rides with friends. I've got a big wide range of friends around here that ride bikes, and they're all different backgrounds.
You've always been good at getting and making new friends, mate, so I'm sure.
But I need to ride, you go out riding trials bikes around here. It's a bit limited on in the pond. There's not too many trials riders in Henley-on-Thames.
Yeah.
But you could say, why aren't you riding with Rob Warner? It's like, well, he's never here. He's always doing something, and he's he's kind of. I see his brother around, Richard. He likes jogging. He might be jogging through the woods, and I'll be zooming the other way.
Right. Yeah. Just cross eyes.
There's a lot. Yeah. Yeah. There is a lot of trials background from motocross in this area. We've old families from like the 50s way back. I'm not going to bore you, but people up north like Adam Morwood's dad, Robin. He'd probably be really fascinated in what's locked away up here. But actually, it's just made me think. One of my favourite places to ride. Sorry, Hookwoods. Sam Connors.
Oh yeah, I've never ridden there for a bit of a laugh. Only. Yeah, I was about to say I've only ridden there in a competition when it's raining. Like, it's the worst possible combination to ride there. Hookwoods forgot existed. Good shout, mate.
Yeah. Shout. And that was one of the turning points I saw in Jack Carthy, because you can all predict who is going to be like the next world champion. And Joe Poyser, I remember Joe saying when Jack was probably about 10 years old, he's going to be world champion. And I was like, yeah. And you kind of watch him and you think, well, he's pretty good. But
someone already called that out? Joe Poyser?
Joe Poyser was definitely the first person to call out Jack Carthy and being world champion in the future.
Yeah, I'm going to try. I'm going to have to... I'm going to try and get Poyser on here to talk about the Onza days at some point.
Man, definitely. Onza
he's
huge.
I mean... Yeah, he's got. I mean, like from sort of a bike industry point of view as well. Like his dad, working with Morlard and getting Onza out to lots and lots of people, because it's not easy, knocking up a bike in a factory in like the 80s and then trying to bring it to market and give it to people at a good price,
especially as such a niche market.
I found that quite accessible. That's kind of how I got into trials, was that Onza had pre-built
because
trials
of
bikes.
them. Yeah,
it's not like a specific bike.
That was really
everyone
I know.
It's the company that's got a lot to ask for. They did a hell of a lot for making it accessible to a lot of people that wanted to try it out.
And there really isn't the same. There's no one as on the same par or the same kind of following,
affordable range to give it a go, because everything now is unless you've got kids.
Watch your space
bikes,
until we bring out our own brand of bikes. But that's
I mean, Monty did quite a bit. Yeah, but I think the price is just a little bit more premium, and it's for a different sort of families maybe with a little bit more money in general.
Mad did it as well. That's probably a bit later, I suppose.
Yeah, we're in connection to Saracen and Rally.
Yeah,
I think. Yeah. Or Diamondback, is it? I can't remember.
They done Saracen Mad, and then it eventually became Diamondback. But
because I had a Saracen Mad trials bike. It had like an actual 20-inch rear wheel, like none of this.
Yeah.
19-inch rear.
We're going back now. Yeah, but I suppose it's just the accessibility to the sport. Maybe that's more what we need to get more people into it.
Accessibility to the sport. Yeah. Onza nailed it.
100%.
Yeah, I mean, even you can buy outdated trials bikes now, but I think that's the sad thing is that because of the progression of the sport, a lot of the outdated trials frames really are outdated. It's not like you can do many of the tricks and the things that we do now on those bikes. Be interesting to find out. I know you're building up an Onza bike as well at the moment.
Yeah, it's the only surviving Onza limey frame. So yeah.
But you just going back on that, saying that they have kind of changed with the times to more, no saddle, longer wheelbase.
Yeah.
We come back to Danny and progression of inspired bicycles. Yeah. They've come back in there and they've filled something that can be used in many different ways as any rider perceives, their way of riding. So it hasn't left, it's still accessible.
Yeah.
You go to...
Although the difference is like now I see a lot of riders obviously looking up to Danny Mac, for example, and saying that's the sort of discipline that I want to do and get at. And then they go out and buy like an inspired bike. But what I think sometimes is being missed is those riders didn't learn those moves on that bike. If you look at a lot of the trials, you really start off on a proper trials bike, like something that really is extreme, and then you're learning that and you adapt it to that bike. I always think it's harder for someone to try and learn back hops and all that on an inspired from the word go, rather than getting on maybe a seatless. I might be wrong, of course.
There is different routes to it. There is, I think, when you look at sort of like Sam Pilgrim stuff he's put on YouTube, he's come exclusively from like a jump biking background, and you give an inspired, and you can sort of tell by the way he hops around where he sort of come from. It's like when you put a BMXer on a trials bike, or you put a trials biker on a BMX.
Yeah, look at Jack Carthy on his enduro bike or mountain bike. He's just like boing, bouncing up, doing all trials on it. You know?
So there's different routes to it, I suppose. it all helps the sport. I think definitely Inspired has been another one of those brands that people can look at and go, oh, that's a seat. That's not too much of a jump from where I am now.
Yeah.
Let's give that a go.
I think that's what it might be. People can't relate to it, being like, I don't want to buy a bike with no seat. Like, how am I going to sit down?
How am I going to go down the shops and go get my loaf of bread without a seat?
The classic. Oh, dear.
I thought we got madly off tangent. We didn't even finish the quickfire round. So we didn't even ask. We just Meek flipped.
I've got time.
Out of it. Okay.
We got some
So
time.
it's not the Meek flip then. What would be your one move again on your Trials Island Desert Disc? Yeah. You can only do one move just to think, yeah, that feels good. I'll do that all day, every day.
I do like Switzerland squeakers.
Squeakers.
Where you go up on the front wheel and you just scuff back on that, front wheel with your shoe.
Yeah, I've lost the ability to do that recently because I just put a front Magura on. So every now and again you go, right, I'll do that. And you think, no, don't do it. Like, because the Magura's on the back and you just rip a crossover out.
Yeah, I was just saying you can still, we're
proceed. Make a longer crossover.
Massive fan of Hans Ray.
Yeah.
Hi, Hans.
Just thinking, actually, I don't even really do that kind of stuff, but I'm going to decided 2021 I will learn some new moves that I haven't ever.
I remember seeing
really
Danny
done.
Holroyd do it in those videos that came with MB UK years ago. I was like, just rewinding that bit
Holroyd.
on DVD.
Oh man, yeah, because he's like I forgot about that rider. He was the first person I saw, I think, with a trials bike without a seat. It was that Danny Holroyd frame. Wasn't there a specific like a Holroyd?
No, he rode an Ashton.
No, you are right.
There
Ashton, they did have like a year, I think, or a year or two,
like
or something with Danny.
Grey frame. It looked a bit like a stock zoo or something like that.
You'll know if you've watched the Danny Holroyd video because his bike always ended up in a river or a lake after. That was always the ending shot.
Yeah. He was wild. He was a really amazing rider.
Loving
all of them were. There was a group of them, the Trials Kings. You know, they were leading it on videos. You know, you'd kind of like be waiting and downloading these Trials King videos. Like, come on, man!
Oh yeah,
and then you're like, I can't wait. I'm going to play the first 5 seconds. Keeps buffering. No, I'm just going to play the first 7 seconds again. Yeah, I learned a lot from those guys. You know, like how to kind of like take it a step further. They really pushed things, but then that's it, isn't it? You kind of spur off each other as a group. And like, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And I remember all the street rides going to Oxford and just doing that as well. You know, Tim Steadman would be going, come on, let's do it. And I'm like, it's really dangerous, mate. And then like security guard coming and it's like, he ran out of time. He's like, I'm not going to do it because I'll get in trouble or something. You know, just leave it. We'll come back another time. I was like, I'm going to have it. Like that, security guard's not going to get me.
That's the deadline. Do it in front of the security.
But we're on deadlines.
No. So that's the deadline. We'll do it in front of the security guard.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, nothing like pressure. Yeah. Nothing like pressure from a security guard. Everything gets done when a security guard turns up. You know, you've had 20 goes, 50 goes. But suddenly the next go, when he turns up or she turns up, it's like, bang! Just like you send it, you nail it.
We done that at the weekend.
Just going to send it
in Herne Bay. Like there was a police car that turned up and was filming it. And I was like, Matt, like film this. Like, you know, it look quick for camera. Quick, do it. Like, just gap to rail and yeah.
Did we get that little shot in there or no?
Yeah, it's in there.
We did.
People can see it.
So there you go. If you listen to this, that
video,
video,
you need a little dose of rebellious riding. If you're listening to it,
that video will be live at this point. This video is live, won't it? Yeah. So you can go and watch it. Just making sure because I actually had Jack. I usually ask most riders just to give me some context, give me some ideas on questions, like people that already know you. And I had the most questions I'd ever had from someone unasked. When I said Jack Meek's coming on, there was a lot of people. So just want to make sure I've covered a lot.
Hi everyone who's asked a question.
Yeah, it's like
these are great.
I just some of these that were fun. This is Tim Rodriguez actually. He was asking. I wanted to know about the time that you invited the BBC crew to the huge London ride and then they just buggered off because they were fuming. They realised that what we were doing was illegal. That's what Tim's...
Yeah.
So, sorry, I didn't know this.
They were really lame.
So you asked the BBC, like, hey, we've got an epic group ride. You should definitely film this, sort of thing.
We had a contact in the BBC through Nick Goddard. So I think he has a friend called Alex Chikari or something.
Okay.
And he was working in the BBC somewhere in that big, you know, organisation. Mentioned it, and then they just came down to see what was going on. Said they'd be there, see what it's about, and maybe kind of do a snippet on it. and it just wasn't their thing. It just wasn't their thing. It wasn't appropriate, I guess.
It looks like a bunch of hooligans on bikes, the sort of thing. Is that what they were going
Kind
with?
of, yeah. You're just like, what is this?
Yeah.
Exactly. What is this? I don't know. It's just a massive group of us having a cool
And for
time.
Jason Lake, actually, the question was answered because people here were like, "Are you sure it was Meek who did the first
Jason.
flip?" But he was like, "Was it not Richard Johnson who did the first one?" Which you
I've
already called it out. But Scott Wilson made another good point, and maybe the other 100 other people before that that may have done that.
Yeah,
that
exactly.
trick.
All the BMXers and all the people that pick cars.
Yeah, no, exactly.
This one sounds good.
So Luke, Mowgli, this seems very specific on this one. Did it still hurt from that huge gap down to front at Radfest years ago? So I'm trying to remember this. Are you on?
I can't remember this, but obviously that sounds quite specific.
I bet it's on a video. We may have to try.
Now, when you say "did it hurt," are you talking?
Does it still hurt? Basically, I think that's what he's finding out. I'm not sure what year it was.
I reckon this is like it's either like a double or triple stack of cotton reels on their sides with the flat surface at the top. And I launched down to another set. So like everyone else sees it as like a gap drop. And I just thought, got a really good front brake. And I was just like, forks are fairly new, everything's tight. I could send that to front. And so I started having a go sending it to both, and then I just started jabbing on the front brake, and I got it. But I think the only video footage is maybe Mark Ebsworth had it on his phone. There wasn't many people watching when I did it.
We need that. I just feel if there is a footage.
But this was also a question from Luke, right? This was Luke.
Yeah, Mowgli.
Luke, if you've got the footage, this might be a different time because it's not the only time I've done it. I have done it a few times. So I hope I've answered it correctly.
No, we'll try and find. And actually, two people specifically mentioned about the rail gap in Oxford. I think is at the end of Get One. Two people.
Mate, that was so sick.
Okay, two people delivering. So I've had Rossi G mention it and someone else. Basically, they're asking sort of like, what the hell was going through your mind? And I guess what made you even do that last? I need to put context to that myself.
Yeah, see if you can paint the picture of it because I can't.
Okay. There's me, Tim Steadman, and Wayne Mahamet, and we're all on top of this second floor above a double stairway drop. Right, you kind of go down, you turn around, and you go down, and then there's even another drop. But the first set of stairs had a rail on it, and then it's the walkway back up to the top. But there was this really weird, like off-camber, sharp angled concrete ledge that you had to take off from. So instead of it being like that, and you can kind of get yourself in the position, you're kind of kicking off the top of the so you're lining up at about 17 foot in the air, right? Drop down. And then you've got this kind of calculation where you're like, well, if it was just that to a floor, it would work.
Yeah.
And you're just like, but it's really dangerous. And you're like, is it worth it? So I was kind of backing out. Then Tim started trying it and, go to back wheel on top of the ledge because you had to hop up to the ledge.
Horrible setup by the sounds of it,
Yeah, Wayne Mahamet had a go. And so it was like backwards and forwards watching, Tim and Wayne try and figure it out. And again, it was another security guard moment. I was just like, I started looking at it. Everyone's like, oh, we're going to go, rucksacks on, leave it. It's like, I'm pretty sure I called that out. I'm not leaving it. I never drop, I never stand down to calling something out. So I was like, sort it out, Meek.
Yeah.
Right. And I just rode round, just like one go onto back. I was like, I can do this. Rode around, the security guys getting nearer. Nick's like going, Jack, wait, man, I've got it. I've got camera. And I'm like, I don't care. Douche up and then just like send it. And it's like, it's one of those drops. It's so harsh on landing that you can't hold the back brake on. You need to be like,
right, yeah, just to tap it.
Just for a moment. Yeah, just so it kind of hits and drops. But it was, I can do it again.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I was literally going to say, is it one of those that you'd get up and like, right, we need another angle? You're like, nope, I've done it once and that'll be it.
And that, like, if you saw the bike I did it on, like, compared to the standard bikes now, like, there's so much flex in the back end.
This
and
is
the brakes
why
are shit.
I feel like a lot of the Get stuff now is actually more impressive because it was that much harder on those types of bikes, it was that much harder. And the only thing I really miss out there is just people doing massive taps, because no one can do that with the bottom bracket being so bloody high. But that kind of video always really loves and gets me going, and it's so much so. I haven't asked you yet, Jack, but we want to make a Get 3. We want to make a Get 3.
Get 3. Nick Goddard. What do you say?
I know it's Nick. If you're listening, it's down in my ideas book, and there's all this going on. But you guys need to be involved. We don't want to make something fresh and new. I want to make a spin off from that.
I guess what we could do, because we've got a lot of stuff. We've got a lot of responsibilities. We're like our work, our kids, and general life, getting older and what you.
Yeah, this is why.
But we could use our phones and we could collectively collect the clips, and then we could just hand it over, and then
with technology now, there really isn't too many excuses. It's more so about actually just capturing content. I've learned, Tom, yourself.
Well, I think the biggest problem now, I was thinking about this earlier, is that it's too easy to put stuff out there now. So the second you've recorded something, it goes on Instagram instantly. So there's none of this collecting of clips now.
That's what I've missed.
Before, you would have to... There was only one outlet, and it was Trials Forum. You would upload it online, or you put it in DVD form, like Get or whatever.
Yeah.
But that was the only outlet. So you had to save up all these clips, because it was too time.
And that's what I used to like. You're like, oh, I'm making a video, or you were like working on it. And now it's that thing, like, I just went for a ride today. I did one move, I put it on Instagram. Which I don't fault, because it's cool. We want to share that, but I do miss those days of really put together.
Why
videos.
I've got rid of Instagram now, because I found that
I'm
working on a weekly basis of YouTube.
I think why it's egged me on. I hadn't made videos for about 6 years, and now with this whole podcast thing, people saying let's make videos. So we've started to, and we're trying to keep pushing that content out.
It's a labour of love to make a full video. It takes quite a lot of effort,
Yeah,
and the timing of it as well, the weather, how much time it takes to get the line done, the locations, because you need
Danny Mac's tapes that he does on YouTube now about the behind the scenes of his videos. They take almost a year to complete a 4-minute video for them, and that's the kind of anything that's good takes time. I would say so. Yeah, I like to think that hopefully
something that comes to my mind is that this year, Steve Rogers and a few other people were thinking about organising a massive, week-long trip.
Oh yeah,
we was going to do a UK road trip before obviously COVID hit. And it was let's go to all the decent trial spots and do a road trip.
Yeah.
So I think if that goes ahead next year, there's going to be a big potential there to get a nice edit from that whole trip. I think
you're right.
Steve. Do it.
It's just got shifted over to the following year, because that was an amazing organising by Steve. That's one thing he is actually good at.
Made a website for it and everything.
Yeah.
No, he's a smart cookie, old Steve.
He's
a smart one.
He is.
He might get called Captain Crash, and he entertained.
He likes the high behind that facade of crashes.
Yeah.
Really, deep down, he's like a little genius.
That's why he's good at trials, because all the logic is placed somewhere else in his mind. I think that's where it's at. But
I feel like we've covered quite
we've
a bit
done
of
really
ground.
well. Yeah, I just want to make sure there's no other things on here.
We have got to finish the quickfire, because we didn't actually get to the final question. So we found out that
I'll try not to drift off. Right,
we do it too, mate. Don't worry.
We love it.
So you've done squeakers is probably your top move, or was there another move?
I just enjoyable, like a go-to. You can do it anywhere, anytime, and it's even more of a challenge in the way. It's just a go-to trick,
Stuff.
Unless you've got a mud guard on, that's a pain in the ass.
So that means you've tried it on your other bike.
You just forget. You're just there like going, why is it not working? Mud guard.
Just ripped his mud guard off the bike
instead. It makes a difference between what forks
because
you have.
You can do it on any bike. Practically any bike you can do it on,
Yeah, that's it. And
which is why I like it.
So you're at Hookwoods, you're doing a few squeakers. Who is the rider you would want to be riding with? Who is the top rider, your idol, someone you look up to?
Basically, which trials bike is going to get you back on your bike?
Oh man, which trials? I don't think anyone is going to have the power to change my course and make me obsessed with riding every day, because that's in my own head. I love trials for what it is. Love it. But somebody who I love hanging out with, who I haven't for ages, is Nick Goddard. We're just like two peas in a pod. We'd go out and we'd find the most craziest, creative, technical lines, And we know if we called something out, we'd be like, oh, that is definitely going to take like probably 200 goes, Nick. Seriously. You know, and
you've called it out now, and you're both going to each other. Go, yeah, but you said it now.
Exactly.
So I know.
Nick, I remember Nick sent me a message once. I found a tree. I was like, great, you found a tree. Like, oh, you can ride up it.
But that's what happens. I sent a picture that if you go through some of our conversations, it's just like a picture of a wall. You're just like,
you know, do you remember, like, you know, you'd hear people like, you know, sessioning Curb, you know, Trials Rider versus Curb. That was Nick. Nick started that in Woodcote outside his house and just had the camera on him. And he just did like, you know, 50 different combos with a Curb. And I was like, that's so sick, mate. But it's still a Curb. It's just like, but it brings out all that technical ability. And then you go ride somewhere else and suddenly you just kind of pull bits and pieces from all these cool things you've like, you know, harnessed with a Curb. And you turn it into levels and heights and rails and, you know, chains and like, who gaps to chains? No one, really. Like, I remember just looking at chains and thinking, I'm going to, but I saw Ryan do it and I was like, I'm going to take that to another level. I'm going to drop gap to a chain, you know?
Of course. Mad. Yeah, of course.
This worth following as well. If anyone on Instagram, go look up Nick Goddard, because he did do a lot of he put a lot of footage up this year during like COVID of old riding and stuff, but stuff I wasn't, you know.
His riding's beautiful. It's like competition. You know,
fantastic style.
That like abilities mixed with street riding.
Yeah, it is.
And that together, you know. It's wonderful. It spins and twists and rails and
Nick, if you're listening, we're coming for you as well.
You're our next guest.
You'll be on here pretty soon. Mate.
And then if you put Nick on steroids, Alistair Clarkson. It's like,
I think lots of people have been asking us to get Ali on. I'm not sure if he'd be inclined. We'll have to wait and see. I wonder if he's listening. If he does listen.
Let him listen to a few more shindigs. You know, we're all listening to Ali. I'm one of them. I love listening to what Ali's got to say and all this, you know, and the whole retro build stuff. But I'm not going to go off. This is quick fire.
That's
round.
Fine. It's fine. Cool. We're getting, you know, Ali's one of our other
I'm learning
content creators. It's because we're thinking about it. The only ones bringing out regular content is Ali C and Scott Wilson, and now us. Hopefully, if we can keep carrying on and keep the momentum going. But mate, I'm super happy you've still got a trials bike. I know that was a big question for many of us, and I know for a fact that because of this, I don't think it'll be that long till we see you again.
True.
The hydraulic pistons moving slightly.
Shindig podcast getting under the skin of the trial community and bringing them back.
Wait, he's got a V.
Oh
no. Did I call it out too much?
What's
no.
That?
He's one of those V-brake people.
He's just... do you know,
that brake is so powerful and it makes no noise.
You've heard it here, guys. It's a huge trend right now that the V-brake is making a comeback.
So I know Kevin from years ago. I remember he was living in Canada. We got chatting, and he used to make, you know, quite high quality res videos. And I said something mad to him one day. I was like, mate, your videos are like the best videos. Look, I'm going to send £2 to you via PayPal because I think you deserve money towards that video that you put effort into. It's like, I don't know why. It's just like, and I sent him £2.
Wanted to contribute.
Because I enjoyed it so much. Because, like, you know, people put out content all the time and make money from YouTube these days. And
we will soon have a way for all of our audience to be able to contribute in their own way to the Shindig podcast, but we'll leave that to our next time. Sorry, were you going to say something, Jack?
Nothing. I don't want to. I was going to say, you want to ask me about my worst Shindig, don't you?
Yeah, that's the final thing, being like the last thing to round us off here is, do you remember your worst Shindig?
I do.
Tell us
about it. I'm never, ever going to forget it.
No one forgets. Tell us about this, Jack.
You got I was in Bourne End in Buckinghamshire with a bunch of riders, and we're on an industrial estate, you know, doing all, you know, bored, young. Someone was, you know, found a big, massive reel of like wrapping stuff that you put around things, whatever, and some kid got wrapped up in that. You're just bored, you know, farting around, and there was just pallets everywhere, and you'd make all these pallets, and then it's just like, it's not high enough, and you make it higher and it becomes unstable. But we've made it just high enough that I was like, oh, I could drop off that 20-foot container, right? But not 20 foot high, 20 foot long. Those big green ones you get. Yeah?
Just thinking then being like, did he actually lose his shin? Yeah, go on.
I'm reconstructed from top to toe. No, it's just one of those classic green big containers, that you can get off the back of a truck. Anyway, I don't know how high they are. Someone can confirm that. But I was in the pissing rain, and I was like, I'm gonna do it. And I kind of have to jump up onto that last little ledge. I don't know what it is, me and ledges, but I jumped down to the floor, all nice and controlled, lowered the front, because that was what it was all about when watching Chain Spotting, and techniques, tricks and stunts.
Yeah.
And as I impacted on the floor, my foot just went straight to the tarmac on my front foot, and I was just like,
we all know that.
Everyone was like, do we need to call an ambulance? And I was like, I don't think I have a leg. And I was like, I'm not there. It's like, can you drop to the floor? You hold it with your hand. You don't want to let go. Nothing,
Yeah.
And that was by far the worst. The pain didn't go away.
So this is from
days.
a
There's
drop off.
blood everywhere. It's just a drop off.
It's just a drop off. Some of the worst, actually, because
I hate those where you see so quickly, your foot goes from pedal to floor. I think if you got a slow-mo camera, there wouldn't be any transition from pedal to floor. It would just go pedal floor.
Just watch the shin bone
shin in the middle.
I think it's worse. It can often be worse if it's your front foot too, because if that goes back, your pedals spin backwards, and it just goes. It goes right down your leg.
It's one of them. One of them where it's just like this forward foot comes off, all the weight goes into the back foot, and it's the legs here.
Pings up.
That's like
a bear trap.
Worst.
But it was a combination. It was the perfect combination, right? So it's a big drop off, shit shoes, shit pedals, and rain.
Yeah.
What else can you ask for a great shindig?
yeah, that's it. You were asking for it. Ironically, that, we're always the ones with the sharpest pedals there as riders, aren't we?
I haven't had a shindig for about 7 years. Touch wood.
I would not have said anything.
Yeah.
It's just would not have said anything. But yes, touch wood, mate. After yourself.
Not even scared saying that.
Okay.
Yeah, no.
All right. Just like, what pedals have you got on your trials bike there?
I'll be calling you back in a moment. Like, I quickly have a hot because I'm so pumped. Oh God! You know that shindig? I've got a worse one.
Instantly send us a picture. Like this was 10 minutes after the shindig.
It'll catch you off guard. Yeah, you don't have to be doing anything big.
I did have a very funny situation, which is an injury, but it's not a shindig, but it's almost there. It was near the vicinity of my shin, and Mitchell remembers it.
Yeah.
I was testing the speed trial course, and I put a brake lever through my thigh.
Oh,
and
no.
Just missing an artery. Yeah. And he was like, "You all right there? Hey, Jack, you all right?"
Yeah,
and I was like,
see
no. And I'm there. I'm like pulling my shorts out with my brake lever.
Bits of like cotton inside the womb, and
it's just fat just coming out. It was
Mick
kind of a bit freaky.
They probably haven't had many shindig. I mean, Mick might have had one on one of his bikes, or whatever. But they've probably seen a lot of shindigs. That's gonna be sad.
They're definitely gonna have many of those. So. Right, I think we have covered quite a bit here now. I actually, looking at the time, I'm going to have to go and get back to my real job, sadly. We'd love to just do this all day, mate.
I've got to go find a job,
chat.
so...
you can go back to work today, can't you, Tom?
Oh, yeah, it's the second, yeah.
It's the second. Or actually, he can actually go back to work, but whether you will or not, another question. Dude...
Thank you so much, Jack. This has been amazing.
It's been so much fun, and it's like, it's getting to talk to you guys. At the same time, it's kind of like you're talking to everyone else as well. So
your name's come up quite a lot, so I'm sure a lot of people will be excited to hear this.
Yeah, we'll get some of the other oldies on too.
Entertained. Yeah, cool,
mate. We hope to see you out on a bike very soon.
It will happen.
I know
it will happen. I've purposely been low key with my trials riding, and it's just a phase, having the kids, having the business is pretty full on, and trying to have the right mindset when you're riding with your mates. It's got to be about fun, right?
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
I don't want to turn up being tired and grouchy or not doing a line or having an accident. I'd rather be there fully in it, having a riot with you guys and not thinking about anything else. So it's coming.
So if you want to follow Jack's upcoming trials clips, go find him on Instagram. What's your handle, Jack? Where can people find you?
Oh, Jack Meek 1, I think.
Yeah, just like Jack Meek.
Got Jack Meek.
And he's still mountain bike. If anyone wants to go for a ride with him on the enduro bike, on the mountain bikes, you're still doing that too. Reach out.
I'm in Henley. Come and fire around the hills because we've got some amazing stuff. Still it's cool. I'm always up for people. If you're in this area, come and ride.
Amazing.
That's great. So we've been the Shindig Podcast.
You've been Jack Meek.
Tune in on the YouTube. New edits going out on the Sundays. And of course, this podcast comes live and direct to your podcast platform of choice every single Friday.
If anyone wants a large poster of me, just call Andre. He's got one left.
I think we might have to have it for our studio, maybe. I'm going to start building large cutouts of everyone.
There's a nice space on the wall on the right, just behind you. It's lovely.
Yeah, that's actually for my guitars. I just been meaning to drill them up on the wall. It's just taken over a year and a half. Just haven't bothered yet. All right, mate. Amazing. Thanks again, dude. And we'll catch up with you very soon.
Peace to all the trials riders out there. Have fun, guys. Bye.
Bye.
You